All right. Welcome to the show. This is the Lakers post-game Christmas Day report, Showtime Forum post-game report. I don't even know what to say right now. First of all, I want to say Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Number one. Number two, I want to give a short disclaimer. My house has still got people here, so you're going to hear kids playing with toys and the whole nine all around me. And at first, I really wasn't even going to do the post-game. But I was like, I'm pretty confident we gonna win this game, and sure enough, my predictions were wrong. So I'm not gonna be in here long. I think we have plenty to talk about tonight, and so I'm not gonna give a whole lot of spiel. I'm gonna jump right into your guys' questions, and we're just gonna get to it. Of course, if you don't know, if you're just kind of tuning in, we lost 111 to 106. Can't really explain what happened in that second half. But in the first half, it looked like the game was essentially over. And then in the second half, we just had tons of issues that crept up. And hot hands went cold. Normal offensive schemes we apparently abandoned. And there's a couple of ideas that I have about what could have caused that. Number one, LeBron James being hurt again on Christmas Day by being hit in his groin and his thigh area. But we don't know. Obviously, a lot of it's going to come out later. But this is not the outcome that we expected, especially after the first half and how the Lakers were playing. And something about this game was very troubling. So let's get into the questions, man. Enough talking. Alex Guys 14. What on earth was Vogel doing? Went big for way too long and then subbed in Rondo. Yeah, he has made some questionable decisions in the last few games. I don't know what the thought process was. The biggest guy on the other side for a majority of that stretch that we were losing points was Montrezl Harrell. And I know that Dwight Howard has essentially always been our energy guy off the bench. JaVale's a good starter, but for the most part, Dwight is our energy off the bench. For whatever reason tonight, he kept Dwight, kept AD. We stayed big for whatever reason. But once Dwight Howard hit that fifth foul, in my head, and I was actually getting ready to tweet it, was you take Howard out, put AD at the 5, and let's just run. Let's just do the lineup that we did at the end of the first half, at the second quarter, where you run with AD at the 5, LeBron, and then 3 shooters. And you can't lose that way. And obviously we proved that by being able to score so efficiently. But Vogel was doing some crazy stuff towards the end. I'm not sure why. Bron, KCP, DG, Kuzma, AD, nothing else. Absolute disaster. Yeah, it was the lineups that were working for us majority of the season. We kind of went away from. Generally we see people like Alex Caruso, who gets upwards above 15 minutes. Tonight he only had 11 minutes, and I can't understand that. I know you want to give LeBron shooters, but his defensive ability is so needed when you have a Paul George and you have a Kawhi, and of course Kawhi went crazy tonight. Man, Kawhi had 30-something points tonight. He had 35 points tonight. He carried that team. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, the rotations that we have just were not working. Rondo has no business being in the game at the end. I want to speak to that. This is where my conspiracy theory comes in. LeBron was extremely aggressive in the very beginning of the game. He drove in, and he got kneed. Or I'm sorry, somebody drove in on him, and he got kneed in the groin. And so he stayed down for a minute, got back up, and kept playing. But from that point on, the only time he ever went into the paint was either to get a putback. He had like a couple of putbacks, or if the lane was just so wide open, he knew that he had to go. He had to go for it. But for the most part, he settled for a lot of threes and was passing out to AD. And so in my mind, the reason why Vogel had Rondo in there was because he knew that LeBron couldn't play make. And because he couldn't play make, he had to have another playmaker on the floor. I don't think that was the original intention, but I think something changed in that first quarter. I think it was already a little weird with AD and Bron still battling injuries. But AD did his thing tonight. I can't say Anthony Davis was bad. He had 24 points tonight. He had 2 blocks, 2 steals. He did his normal thing. But it was just the questionable decisions in the rotations and so much. But yeah, you're right. Jacob Caldera, 1977. Refs need to choke on that whistle. Horrible call on Danny Green. I've been saying this since the beginning of the season. For some reason, Danny Green has picked up a tremendous amount of fouls. and it's always like 2 or 3, but it's always in succession. It's never like over the period of a game. He'll generally get called like 2 or 3, like in the first, like in a half. And I don't know if that's on Danny or if that's on the refs, but that's been consistent. No matter what game we've played, Danny is he's gonna get at least 2 or 3 fouls. And I don't know why, because he's a tremendous defender. He has been a tremendous defender. But recently he just hasn't been able to do it. And not only that, offensively he's been kind of off. Tonight he had a couple of wide open threes, didn't hit them. He went 2 for 7 tonight, and he only scored 6 points, which is understandable. But if you're gonna foul as well, if you're gonna have 5 fouls, at least shut down the person you're defending if you're gonna foul that much, or make them pay for it on the offensive end. And he did neither one of those things tonight. So I don't know. I don't know. It was a bad call, but Danny has been very handsy with his defense as of this season, and I don't know what's causing that. Blake St. Clair, how fatigued LeBron was in the game with missing the last game is a concern moving forward. He has no lift in his legs running or jumping. Blake, I don't think it was fatigue. I think he's hurt. I think he's legitimately hurt. I think the knee to the thigh or the groin tonight was also almost re-injuring it, if you will. I don't think LeBron's 100%. When he talks about his twitch and his step and stuff like that, you saw no twitch tonight. You saw none of his playmaking behind the back, through the leg. You saw none of that, and I think it's because he's hurt. I don't think it's fatigue. I really don't think it's fatigue. I think he's legitimately hurt, and I think it showed up tonight. And he's never going to talk about it. Even if he is, he's never going to let that be the reason. But tonight it was very obvious that he was not who he is normally. Who we've seen during our good stretch of run, he was not that. Do I feel like if we played 7 games that we would lose that series? Absolutely not. But I do think that Vogel would have to utilize this game and redirect how he would do things if LeBron got hurt, because it's just we did not play in the inside. AD settled for perimeter shots and settled for mid-range. LeBron obviously was settling for long-range shots. But driving to the hole was just not a thing tonight. And it's not because Zubac or Harrell are great blockers. It's because somebody... I think honestly, it's because LeBron was hurt, and because the tone with LeBron was, I'm going to shoot from the perimeter, it just opened up. The only person who was pretty much going to the hole consistently was Kuzma. When he wasn't shooting threes, he was driving to the hole, doing that little fade towards the out of bounds, and obviously getting fouled. It's almost like every time Kuzma goes up for that bank shot, it's going to be for an and one. And so I don't know. I don't think it's fatigue. I literally think he's hurt. And for me personally, I would love if they would just come out and say it. If they would just say, hey, he's injured. It would make so much more sense. But he's shown consistently throughout his career, when he's injured, he's not going to let you know until it's after the game. He broke his hand during the finals and didn't say anything until after the finals was over. So that's the LeBron we're dealing with. I don't feel like I'm not holding LeBron at fault per se. I'm holding him at, tell me if you're injured. If you're injured, then everything that happened makes sense. And I don't feel bad. If you're injured, because you are our playmaker. But if you're not injured and it was fatigue, then we need to have a real conversation about what it looks like for your minutes going forward. Alsa Cusick, frustrating. Sports Beard 1, trade Danny Green. Alsa Cusick, it is very frustrating. I think it's frustrating for every Laker fan. I don't think it's the end of the world, obviously. Our record is still better. And I still believe that we are better than them in a 7-game series, even though we've lost 2 already. We still have 2 more games to play in this season. So I'm not worried about that. We could split the season and be fine. But, Sports Beard 1, let me speak to you about the trade Danny Green. We did not get Danny Green for in-season play. We got him for his playoff ability. That's what he's good at. That's what he's known for, is his ability to play in the playoffs. He was great for Toronto. He was great for San Antonio. I have no reason to think he wouldn't be great for us as well in the playoffs. But I keep saying this, I don't hold Danny Green to a high standard during the season. It's just not his thing. You're not going to see him double digits in the points. He's very streaky as a 3-point shooter. We need you to play defense. That's pretty much it. Should he be in the starting lineup? My assumption is yes, because who's the backup? I mean, you technically could put a Caruso in, maybe. You could kind of put a KCP, but that's not really his position. You want a Danny Green for the playoffs. And so I don't think they're going to trade him. Number one, his contract doesn't make sense to trade. But number two, you specifically were going after him. He was one of our high targets in the Kawhi not coming trade. I mean, in the Kawhi not coming deal. So because he didn't come, Danny Green was sitting on hold waiting, okay? And I think the reason why is because we knew that we could put together a playoff team, but we would need veteran leadership when we get to the playoffs. And that's what I believe he's there for. Also, Kusick, refs sucked in this game. When have refs not sucked? Let me just be honest, okay? Refs have continually sucked. But it doesn't mean that you don't keep putting pressure on them to make calls. And the only way you put pressure on the refs to make calls is to be aggressive in the paint or to be aggressive in your shooting motion. And for the most part, most of our shots were at the last minute. A lot of our shots were face up, just I'm going to one-on-one. The person who got a lot of foul calls tonight, in my opinion, who got the right foul calls tonight, was Kuzma, because Kuzma was aggressive. He went to the line 3 times tonight. Anthony Davis went to the line 4 times tonight, but that was it. Now you put it on the other end, on the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard went to the line 4 times tonight. Paul George went to the line 3 times tonight. Harrell went to the line. Lou Williams went to the line 3 times. If you're not aggressive in the paint, you're not going to get calls. If you're doing just face-up trying to shoot from the perimeter, you're not going to get calls. If you're trying to get an offensive rebound, you're not going to get calls. It's going to require you to be aggressive in the paint where contact has to be forced. And when LeBron is not able to do that, you don't get foul calls. And what's even worse is that when LeBron drives into the hole consistently, eventually the players just begin to collapse in regardless, and they don't care about the shooters. And so when the players don't see LeBron being aggressive in the paint, they stay on their shooters. And so because they stayed on the shooters, there really was no opportunity for a drive. There was no opportunity. You'd have to have a player who can dribble like Kyrie or Kemba Walker, who's able to do one-on-one and be able to go one-on-one. We don't have one-on-one players. We just don't. Not even LeBron's a one-on-one player. He's a driver to the hole. But his dribble is not insane. The one time he went to the paint, he just backed up Harrell all the way to the paint. And he had to pound the rock to do that. And so, for whatever reason, it's just, I can't explain why we turn off the aggressiveness in the paint. But that's the main reason why we didn't get calls. But they do suck. I just want to say that. They do suck. Blow a 15-point lead, coaching and laziness. Let LeBron rest for 2 to 3 games. Alex Guys 14. Once again, I don't think it's about fatigue. I do think he needs to get healthy. I think that's true. But let's be honest, okay? The Clippers wanted more. Okay, the Clippers wanted more. That's. Let's start with that. Even with the 15-point lead, the Clippers know that in that building, it's a different ballgame. Records don't matter in that building to them. Okay, the energy off the bench, the energy from the coaching staff was completely different. I think for us, it was more about us. We've pretty much been the same team all the way through. Okay, we've been pretty much the same consistent team. When we're winning, we're goofy. When we're getting close, then we get quiet and we rely on veteran leadership. Get in the locker room. We talk about how much we appreciate being even keel. That's pretty much who we are. Tonight, it's just we didn't turn into that extra gear, and I think a part of that was because LeBron he's not healthy. I really do. And this is not an excuse. This is not an excuse at all, because I can hear Clipper fans going, "Oh, now you're making excuses." I'm just saying, whatever happened on that court after that first quarter, it was very apparent that had it not been for Kuzma, this would have been a blowout. Had it not been for Kuzma in the first half. And let's be honest, if Kuzma would have continued that in the second half, we would have won the game, regardless of how everything else was going. For whatever reason, he wasn't able to do it. So they probably decided we're going to shut down Kuzma because LeBron's not doing anything. So once again, LeBron is that crucial to our offense that when he's not going or when he's not aggressive, then the other teams know how to game plan and adjust during halftime. Also Kusick, we couldn't make a shot. Yeah, that second half was brutal, guys. And something told me going into the half, I was like, man, we're up, but that was very sloppy. Like, we were up, but like a lot of that stuff was just anomaly stuff. Like, do I think, even with a healthy Kuzma going forward, do I think he's going to be scoring 25 points or 23 points or whatever, 21 points in the first half going forward? I don't think that at all. Whatever got into him tonight, they probably just told him in the locker room, "Hey man, Bron's not healthy. You got the green light," and he just went for it because he was taking shots like without even looking for other players, and nobody was upset about it. So it sounds to me like he had. I'm sorry. Kids are here. So it sounds like to me like he had the green light to go, but for whatever reason, second half, it just. I tweeted that they were probably giving Kuzma the green light to save LeBron for the fourth. But when it came down to the fourth, LeBron kind of got it going, but it was like shooting long-range threes. Thank God one of them went in, two of them went in. But then after that, we're looking for him to drive, stop the clock, get the fouls. Let's get into the bonus. It was not happening. So I don't know why that is, but by the third, this is Blake Sinclair. AD and LeBron looked exhausted. The turnovers from them both seemed to be fatigue and concentration than anything else. I don't think that either. I don't think it's fatigue. I think it's two things. Number one, AD has been known to shrink in the lights. The bigger the game is, traditionally, the more he shrinks. And that's not saying that that's who he is as a person or a player. It's how his game has gone. He probably overthinks. That's my honest to God opinion. When AD drives to the hole, he's unstoppable. There was nobody on the Clippers that can hold him. But look at how many mid-range shots that man took tonight. Something just told him not to be aggressive. And I think he was overthinking it. I think he was trying to get his jump shot going. I think he was trying to get his three shot going. And it just seemed like he was doing too much in overthinking. And by the time the score, they lost that 15-point lead, I think everything about his demeanor faded. Because the Lakers have, just to be clear, the Lakers still don't have double-digit losses, okay? The Clippers do, but the Lakers do not still, even after this loss, don't have double-digit losses. So there has been very little losing during this season so far. So there has been no mental training for him about what do I do when we're losing, okay? When we lose, it's because somebody gets hot in the quarter, like Luka did that one game, or we just get blown out for a half, like we did tonight, where we were doing great in the first half, second half, it just didn't matter. And so I think that he has to learn how to adjust to that, right? One of the things, and I'm going to keep going back to this because this is the last hero that we had in the fourth, is Kobe Bryant. And the reason why the fourth quarter was so important is because Kobe knew that in order for the team to win, championship or not, if he did not turn on the next gear in the fourth quarter, he could have scored 30 points at the half. It's the fourth quarter that matters the most. And I think Anthony Davis is learning. You can be as hot as you want in the first half, even in the third quarter. But if you don't turn the intensity up in the fourth, they're going to outplay you. And this is the reason why. Because players who are dogs, like a Patrick Beverly and stuff like that, they know that the game is won in the fourth. Period. It don't matter what happens in the first three quarters. You can win the game in the fourth. And they turn it up. The clock is running out. This is it. You're leaving it out on the floor. And there has to be a different idea of, I'm just playing this game because I'm good at it, and I need to prove myself in the fourth. I would love to hear Anthony Davis this week talk about his inability to execute in the fourth in big games. Same thing for LeBron James. The last time we played the Clippers, both him and LeBron James, and that wasn't fatigue, just want to remind you, this is the start of the season. First game of the season, they disappeared in the fourth. Same thing for LeBron. LeBron tends to have this thing about him where he overthinks or he's trying to play to the moment. So when he hit those threes, he hit that three, KCP hit a three, he starts waving to the crowd. But there's still 7 minutes left, LeBron. Kobe is not doing nothing to the crowd because in his mind, the game is won in the fourth, the whole fourth. Not during the run, not if I have a couple of good plays and we get a lead. Until that buzzer sounds in the fourth, you can't talk to me, I'm untouchable. Until LeBron and AD get that mentality, they will continually get tested in the fourth quarter. I don't care how big the lead is, okay? And so when you have a Beverly and a Kawhi and a George, these guys are going to come at you. Lou Williams was basically ineffective tonight, and he's really the biggest threat that we normally would have had. Like tonight, he only scored 6 points tonight. On a night that Lou Williams played almost 30 minutes and went 1 of 6 tonight. 1 of 6. Okay, he only scored 6 points because he went to the free throw line. So he went 1 of 6 tonight, and on a night like that, you still end up losing by 5 points. Because on these moments, the Paul Georges, the Kawhis, they just know in big moments, I need to turn it on in the fourth. And that's what happened. So, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to rant like that. Here we go. Alex Guys 14, thanks for the answers. Ignore the rant above. No problem, man. Jacob Caldera, 1977. Was that a foul by Danny Green? So ticky-tack. Yes, it was. It was and it wasn't. It really wasn't. It really, even with AD, when Lou Williams went up and smoked that layup and missed it, literally all AD did was just put his arm up because he's momentum carried him. He turns around and the ball didn't go on the rim. So he's going back, but he gets called for a foul because he put his arm up. It was calls like that were very, very weird. By the book and the letter of the law, yes, it should have been a foul. In reality, no, because on the opposite end, it wasn't happening for us. If that's the case, if all it takes is a hand to the back for it to be a foul, LeBron James should have been at the free throw line 30 times tonight. And he didn't even drive. I'm talking about just him dribbling. If all it takes is a hand, then that should have been a foul on LeBron. But it wasn't happening tonight. They decided to call the games the way they were going to call it. But it wasn't the referee's fault. Because if the referees were that bad, we wouldn't have had a 15-point lead. Something happened. I don't know what it is, and I keep wanting to say it has to be injury, but something happened. Antonio Rod, 33, I blame all the Lakers instead of chucking up all those threes. They should have attacked the paint. Once again, you got to know this too. When you have an alpha on the team like a LeBron, everybody follows that lead. So if LeBron is shooting a lot of threes, and everybody else's mind, or especially like Kuzma, and Kuzma's coming in, he's hitting threes. KCP hit a couple of threes. When people are hitting threes, it is your mind the green light to shoot them. Okay? And especially when you're down, you're trying to swing the momentum with efficiency. They shouldn't have shot all those threes. They should have stuck to the game plan and been even keeled, but they didn't. And because you don't have your alphas, your LeBrons and your ADs driving to the paint like they should have been, everybody else just settled for the outside shots. Because if, for whatever reason, it just happens for most teams. It's not just a few teams. It's most teams. When your stars are struggling, they need to do something else that keeps the team motivated in another section. So if you're shooting 1 of 18, if your defense is on point, then everybody will transfer that same energy, right? But if you're not defending well, you're not driving to the point, driving to the paint well, you're not shooting threes well, then that just transfers to the rest of the team. And if their stars can't get it, they're like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. The only person who has that weird mentality is Kuzma. Kuzma will literally turn it on. I don't know what happened in the second half, but literally he will turn it on and he will forget. He can go 1 of 18 and then pick up from that like it's like 0-0, like for whatever reason. But tonight they just decided to follow LeBron's lead and they shot from 3. Trez Tarmac, Lakers got injured again, growing right from the beginning. Okay, that's what I'm thinking. It hasn't been official. And I don't even think LeBron will ever say it. I'm going to be honest. I think even the stuff that we found out about his ribs and stuff like that, I think that came out because of medical reports and just reporters. But I don't think LeBron would ever say that. I just don't think he has that in him to say, oh, I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do because of this. I think what he would say is, let's say he spends the next week and he gets healthy and he comes back during our 5-game stretch in January that's going to be pretty difficult. Like, I think if he comes back and he starts playing well, then he'll be like, man, I feel so much better than I did then. But he's not going to blame the loss in the moment on his injury. But I believe the same thing you believe, Trez. I think he got injured in that groin in that first quarter. Also, Kawhi switched every time KCP was in there and then to take KCP to town. Listen, guys, here's 2 parts. Number 1, I hate load management. I hate it. I want to make that very clear. That is my precursor to what I'm getting ready to say. But because Kawhi can come in and score 30 and then sit for 2 games, he can leave it all out on the floor. He doesn't have to worry about the next game or the game that happened the night before. None of that. So him coming in, to me, it's not even about – he's a king of mid-range right now. Kawhi has mastered the mid-range shot. I don't care who it is. I don't care if they're playoffs, finals, great defensive team or not. Whatever Kawhi wants to do in that mid-range, when he decides he's going to do it, it don't matter who's on him, okay? He's going to do his thing, okay? The difference was with the Bucks, right? The Bucks is probably one of those teams that could do it because they had so much length on the court that they could just literally jump a little bit off the ground and challenge his shots better. But I don't blame KCP tonight for that. I really don't. I don't mind Kawhi going for 35. But look at this. I just want to point this out. Lou Williams went for 6 points and Paul George went for 17. Okay? So the game was not lost because defense was bad. Sure, let Kawhi go for 35. That doesn't matter. But if you have Paul George and Lou Williams who are struggling and you're keeping them struggling and you still lose the game, that means there's something wrong on our offensive side. And that's really where the issue was. I don't mind KCP doing what he did tonight so much. I do understand that, he does get cooked from time to time. I don't mind that. But he also contributed 13 points and was 2 or 3 from 3-point tonight. He made up the difference. But the rest of the team just couldn't get it going. George Santiago, LBJ is clearly not right. Left with no choice but put Rondo in with him. Listen, guys, I don't know what's going to happen before the trade deadline, but this is not going to be the roster going to the playoffs. I don't believe they're not going to cut Rondo and he can't be traded because of the way his contract is set up. But they're going to have to make adjustments so that if LeBron can't go, There needs to be somebody else who can facilitate besides Rondo. I think Rondo still works best in that second unit. I just don't think him and Bron on the floor together makes sense because they're both so ball dominant. And then you have AD on the floor. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. If you're going to have LeBron in, then you need to have Rondo on the bench. If you're going to have Rondo in, then LeBron needs to be on the bench. But like in a time where you need LBJ on the floor to demand defense, but you need somebody else to play make, Rondo is not that person. You need somebody who can move the ball, who's efficient. This is why Kyrie was so important to LeBron during that run. Because he was able to go, oh, LeBron, you ain't doing nothing right now? I got it. And he can go cook for like 13 points in a quarter real quick. We don't have anybody like that. And so that to me is it just telling of how much we need to make adjustments in the roster. Laguni Manza. What happened to feeding AD in the paint during the fourth quarter? I wish I knew. I wish I knew. To be honest, LeBron James, as crazy as it sounds, LeBron James took more shots than Anthony Davis tonight. LeBron James took 24 shots. Anthony Davis took 17. I don't know how that works with a LeBron who's clearly not healthy and Anthony Davis who can cook anybody in that paint. I gotta keep saying this, man. This is the man who put up a 50 burger, a man who put up 40 and 20. This man commands the paint, and when it comes down to the big lights, something keeps him from doing that. I need him. This is what I'm really hoping. I'm hoping the Clippers get into their post game and talk trash all year. I mean, for the rest of the NBA season until we see them again. I hope Skip Bayless replays every time for the last 2 years. I hope all that stuff happens, and I hope it ticks off AD and ticks off LeBron. I want them to notice how crazy it sounds for him not to be in the paint, and the only excuse that the doubters will have is that he's afraid of the paint. I want that to happen to him. I want the dog to awaken in him. I want him to get mad. I want him to talk trash. I don't know what it's going to take, but for him to win a championship in LA, it's going to require that fourth quarter Kobe in him. It's going to require. If you don't have that, it's not going to work. It's just not going to work. You got to have something that wakes you up and makes you say, there's nobody who's going to keep me out of my sweet spot. And the sweet spot is the paint. The sweet spot is the paint. I don't care how many jump shots you hit. That's not your sweet spot. You can get streaky from there. But in the inside, you command it. You command that. You're a tremendous free throw shooter. I don't know what it was. I don't know what's happened to the pick and roll game with AD and LeBron. That is the biggest strength on the team is AD and LeBron. But when LeBron can't be aggressive in going to the paint, then all that's going to happen in the pick and rolls, they're going to switch, or they're going to double down on AD and trust LeBron to shoot a three, and he'll be 0 of 7 like he was in the first half. George Santiago, with the role Rondo fills, he is not adequate anymore. He can't play more than one shift. Yeah, and it was so promising in the beginning because this sounds crazy, he was our second best three-point shooter next to Jared Dudley on the team when beginning of the season. When he first came back from his injury, he had one of the highest percentages with attempts. And then it's almost like at the minute that we noticed that he was doing great from three, the minute that somebody said it on Twitter, it was like everything turned down from there. And so now he can't hit threes. He's not facilitating well. I don't know, but you can't do anything with him. That's the bad part. What's the alternative? Quinn Cook, Troy Daniels? I don't know. 12 from 45 from 3-point and out rebounded. Let Kuz get cold. Yeah. Tonight this is, and we should have known this. If you read any scouting report, then you know that Patrick Beverley is going to be about his rebounds. Patrick Beverley had 8 points, 8 rebounds tonight. 9 rebounds tonight. That's where he lives, man. And for him to be able to out-rebound while we're going big with a Dwight and an AD, for him to be able to out-rebound Dwight and AD is a bad sign, people. It's a bad sign. Tonight, Anthony Davis had 6 rebounds. Patrick Beverley had 9. Once again, we said this again. I talked about this in one of our other losses. Now we've lost 4 in a row. I talked about this in one of the other losses. Somebody had a little shooting guard, had 13 rebounds. Okay? Us being out-rebounded by these shooting guards is ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous, man. Like, that should never happen, okay? That should never happen. Or point guards, for that matter. But, yeah, I don't know what happened with that. Do you think we need a roster change as in waive a player and pick up another player? We have a friend on Twitter who is convinced that the best trade is to trade Kuzma. There's actually a trade where you can get Bogdanovich if you trade Kuzma and I believe Quinn Cook. The actual numbers work, but I just don't see like anybody who's worth that. I just don't see a team getting rid of him. Like, even with the Kings, like, I just don't see them getting rid of Bogdanovich for Kuzma and Cook. I just don't see it. Would it be great? Absolutely. It would be phenomenal. Sort of. I mean, like, after what Kuz did tonight, I don't know. But for the most part, most of our roster contracts just don't make sense in trades. You'd have to trade a collection of players outside of a Kuzma for it to really make sense. You'd have to trade like a Rondo and a Caruso and like a Daniels for like a player to come back. And one thing this team needs with this many veterans is depth. But that's what you need more than anything, because somebody's going to get hurt, okay? Tonight was the first time in like 2 months where the team actually had everybody there healthy, quote unquote. And we really weren't even healthy because LeBron wasn't healthy, okay? So you're going to need depth. I would love to see a roster change. I would love to see Iggy come in. But Iggy's not going to fix the offense. He will fix that defense. He would have made a difference. Like tonight, instead of putting Rondo in, you could have put Iggy in. Take the pressure off of LeBron to do anything defensively, and let LeBron, even with his injury, facilitate from where he was at from the offensive end. But you can't, because Rondo's a liability on defense, which means that LeBron's going to have to stay consistent with his defense with Rondo in. You put an Iggy in there with a KCP and an AD. Now you're talking, right? And even Iggy is known to hit clutch 3-point shots in fourth quarters. Iggy is another person who knows how to turn it on when the lights get big. So, you know, I don't know. I don't see a actual roster change that we can move, that we can make, but I do believe one is coming. I just don't know what it's going to be. How do we get so many 3-point specialists to shoot so awful? I don't know, man. My friend called them the stormtroopers of the NBA. Their aim is just, they can't hit anything. But I think to be honest with you, I think we didn't get 3-point specialists. I think we got shooters. But I don't think we got 3-point specialists. I think 3-point specialist is a JJ Redick, a Seth Curry, a Bogdanovich. People that you can say they're so dangerous that if you leave them alone, it's a wrap. Okay, we didn't really get those players. We got streaky shooters, right? Danny Green streaky, Troy Daniels streaky, Quinn Cook streaky, right? Because earlier this season he went off in one of the games. I think we have a bunch of streaky shooters, and all of it requires rhythm, which we have not established with so many people being hurt and rotations being in flux. So part of me goes, okay, we don't have 3-point specialists, but we do have streaky shooters, and you just need 1 or 2 to get hot. Number 2, until you get this roster to be consistent, and I said this before, I said until we have a set secondary rotation, then you're really not going to see consistency out of your shooters. KCP has found his rhythm, right? But KCP is best served, to be honest, from the starting lineup. I think taking him out and putting Avery Bradley in, and that we go on this losing streak, is not a coincidence. I just don't. I love Avery Bradley, but I think there's something to be said about how KCP has proved that he belongs in the starting lineup. He's most efficient. He scores best. There was corner threes tonight that were literally, I mean, if you could just put KCP there, they would have been makes, and they weren't. And so I don't know what it's going to take, but that wasn't it. Like tonight, Avery Bradley played 17 minutes, scored 2 points. And then you have a Caldwell Pope who had 13 points and played 29 minutes, right? So if you're going to keep KCP in there, if you're going to have him playing almost the same amount of minutes as LeBron and AD, put him back in that starting lineup. Let Avery Bradley figure out what he's going to be. But KCP has proven to me that if you put him in the lineup, we're a force. Now, I'm not saying he's the end-all, be-all, and he's just that big of a difference maker, but I would allow Avery Bradley, Kyle Kuzma, Rondo, all those people, let them play the secondary unit. Let Kuzma be your scorer. Let Rondo be your facilitator. Let Avery Bradley off the bench be your defender who hounds people like Beverly would do. And then you can and him and Caruso, they could run that backcourt together. Or they could run the 2 and the 3. I don't know how you want to do it, but the biggest issue is that, like with the way the lineups have been switched up, there's no consistency for the shooters to get better. Trez Tarmac, they all need to better themselves at 3-pointers. Yeah, or free throws, because here's the thing. Like we didn't go to the free throw line a lot tonight, but once again, we shot 16 of 21 from the free throw line. We were 76%. You can't do that, man. Like, you can't do that. You can't. Like, we're if you're going to have shooters and shooting specialists, quote unquote, then maybe they should be able to hit the easiest shot in the NBA, which is the free throw. Us being free throws, if we can't hit free throws, then I don't care about 3-point shooting. I really don't, because we can get an and one and then just miss the free throw. Like, It's just crazy, man. I don't like it. I think it's bananas how this far into a career they could be this bad at free throw shooting. Smith 818. If 5 more 3-point shots would have fallen, AD and LBJ would have been chilling on the bench. I hope so. That would have been ideal, but we can't rely on that. That's not who this team is. This team is a tremendous defensive team. This team is a tremendous passing team. We have some great assists that when we have a high assist game, we're unstoppable. And tonight it was isolation. It was let's figure out LeBron when he's going to shoot from 3. It was even when LeBron couldn't get it going from 3, he would pass the AD out, and the AD would shoot from 3. It was really, really bad idea. It was really bad idea to rely on the 3 to be the difference maker in this game. Okay, I just don't know why that was the case. Hot Wanakita, like missing those 3s at the end and LeBron losing the ball. Yeah, I mean, let me tell you what happened, guys. When it got to that last minute and we were down by 4, I said, you know what? I said, let me just pack up. Let me go upstairs, get ready for the game. Get ready for post game. So in my head, the game was over. So I come back upstairs, and now it's a 3-point game. Now I'm like, okay, all right. So I'm watching on my computer. I'm setting up, and LeBron has the ball, and I'm like, man. It's like he's hitting them in this quarter, but I don't know if he'd be the one that I give it to. And sure enough, I turn my head, I look back at the screen, and the ball's out of bounds. And LeBron done lost it because Patrick Beverly didn't cost him. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, that's the reason why you don't rely on it. I would rather LeBron go in for a 2 and rely on getting fouled than rely on him waiting at the 3-point line trying to out-dribble somebody. It just didn't make sense. Alpha Acoustics, exactly. Blake St. Clair, perimeter defense, turnovers and fouls. Lakers were terrible at all 3. Well, let me just say this, okay? The Lakers from 3 tonight were 12 of 45. Okay, we obviously shot a lot of 3s tonight, way more than we normally do. And we shot 26%. So we were horrible from 3. But the Clippers shot 9 of 25, which for the most part is good when you think about a Lou Williams and a Paul George who can get hot, right? Like that, we actually did okay on defending the 3. Paul George only had 1 3-pointer. JaMychal Green only had 1 3-pointer. The person who killed us tonight was Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard had 5 threes. Kawhi Leonard shot 5 of 7 from 3-point line. So what do you do when a player's cooking like that? You know what I mean? I don't know outside of doing like what Golden State did to Harden tonight. And this, let's just talk about this for a minute so we can understand the differences, right? So tonight Golden State decided that they were going to shut Harden down. Well, that makes a difference because Harden pretty much is accounting for almost 50% of their points. Okay, the dude can score 50 in a game, 60 in a game, and the team win like 110 to 104 or something. So they said we're going to double James Harden, and we're going to dare anybody else to get hot, and it didn't happen. Houston lost. You can't double Kawhi and say we're just going to wait for somebody else to get hot because Paul George can get hot. Okay, so you can't play the defense that normally would contribute to high success rate. So you have to pick your poison. You have to say, we're going to let one person get hot and we're going to shut everybody else down. For the most part, they did that. They shut down the other 2 offensive threats. The other 2 offensive threats is Lou Williams and Paul George. For the most part, Paul George being underneath 20 points is a shutdown. Lou Williams being under 10 points is a shutdown. Okay, so you did that. Montrez went for 18 tonight, but he's always going to go for 18. He just lives in the paint. But for some reason, our offense was just not flowing tonight, guys. It was not it. It was just not it tonight. It was not it. And turnovers was a huge part of that. But even then, like we're talking about turnovers, we've had some high turnover games. But tonight, we only had 13 turnovers. Like, for the most part, that's decent. That's decent. I mean, you're doing like maybe 6 or 7 a quarter, or 6 or 7 and a half. That's not bad compared to the Clippers who had 16 turnovers tonight. Right? So we had less turnovers than them. The issue was that we were not hitting when it mattered. And the fact that we shot 45 threes, that is not our identity. We allowed the Clippers to push the pace on us again. We are not supposed to be a high-paced team. That's really not us. Just because we pass ahead to AD does not make us a high-paced team. It's just us taking advantage of AD in the post. But for the most part, we are not a 45 3-point shooting team. That's Houston Rockets territory. We'll lose those games every single time. And I think because we settled for shots and did not drive and control the paint and control the clock, we got beat. We got beat. Both committing fouls and converting free throws to points. Yeah. Also, Kuzik, 12 for 45 is awful from threes. Yeah, it's horrible. But we should not be shooting 45 threes. In what universe will a Lakers team shoot 45 threes? Even when D'Antoni was here, I don't remember us shooting 45 threes. Not like in a game like this. That is not our identity. It has never been our identity this season. And to go to that is, once again, it was set by LeBron. Going 0 of 7 in the first half. LeBron shot 7 3-pointers, guys. That's not in one half. That's crazy. That is crazy, man. Shooting 7 3-pointers in one half is not okay. He ended up shooting 12 3-pointers tonight. 12 3-pointers? Why? What was happening? The only explanation that I have is that he was hurt. This is what we saw from him when he came back last year and was like, I'm going to turn into playoff LeBron. He started shooting threes from everywhere, right? And I think it's because he was hurt. I think he was hurt tonight. Stop using excuses. Salim 908. No excuse, man didn't show up. Which man are you talking about? LeBron? If LeBron is hurt in year 17, yeah, he didn't show up. But once again, he's never going to tell you that, right? So what do you say if somebody has a groin injury? No excuses, man. Get out there. Perform. No, absolutely not. That's not truth. Truth is, if LeBron gets hurt, we're in trouble. Period. You need to settle that in your mind, period. If LeBron gets hurt, this team is in trouble. Regular season and playoffs. Okay? If LeBron is not healthy, we're in trouble. And that's what happened tonight. LeBron was not healthy tonight. And it would have been great to know that. That way we could have changed our expectations, but it still felt like the game plan didn't even change. It felt like in the first half it was all Kuzma. In the second half they were trying to turn LeBron on, and it wasn't happening. Beverly getting a rebound should never happen against the Lakers. Alsa Kuzik. It's not just Beverly. Alsa Kuzik. It's literally any guard that makes it up in their mind that they're going to rebound against us, they're going to do it. Beverly is not the first time this has happened. During this losing streak, somebody had more rebounds than Beverly as a shooting guard at 6'5". It should never happen, but for whatever reason it does. Part of the reason is because AD is known to leak out. Okay, he leaks out a lot, which is why LeBron always passes forward. That's part of their way of quote unquote load managing is let AD do the running, let LeBron do the passing, and he doesn't even have to go down court. So you see that a lot from the Lakers, right? So that is part of the reason why we don't get the rebounds is because we have one of our bigs leaking out. The other issue is that you have a Dwight Howard or a JaVale McGee who have never really been in this late of the career. JaVale has never really been a rebounder, okay? And Dwight is a high energy guy, but he's high energy on blocks and pick and rolls. Not really for he gets us rebounds. Like he did his job tonight, but it's still not his MO, right? Anthony Davis is known for rebounding, but if he's leaking out all the time, then you really just leave JaVale or Dwight to try to out-battle these guys, and they're not going to do it. But Hot Wanakita, I got to just keep saying that. We looked way better. How the hell we end up losing? We did look better for the first half. Second half, we did not look better. Second half, we looked like what the Clippers looked like in the first half. Smith818, Kuz got cold because they went away from him. Exactly. It seemed like it was in the cards in the beginning to go with Kuz in the first half. And in the second half, it was supposed to go to LeBron. And I actually tweeted that too. I said, it looks like the game plan is let Kuz get it going early to save LeBron for the fourth quarter, the second half. And I just don't think LeBron was able to turn it on. And I'm hoping. I haven't heard anything yet. I haven't checked anything. As far as like, I'm getting ready to go there now. As far as like post game, so I don't know if they've even talked about what happened to LeBron. But tonight, woo boy, I cannot explain why in the world we went away from Kuzma, who had the hot hand. He literally had their number. Okay, I'm just reading some of the stuff I'm reading from Mike Trudell as now the game is over. Vogel said one of the biggest issues was the Lakers putting the Clippers at the free throw line far too often in the second half. LA took 13 free throws to Clippers 9 in the first half, but only 8 to the Clippers 23 in the second. Some unnecessary reach-in plays, especially in the fourth. Anthony Davis said Lakers gave the game away down the stretch, that being up 12 at halftime and then 7 midway through the fourth. You have to close it out. Missed shots, turnovers were a part of it, but putting LAC at the line with reaching fouls was a killer. So it seems like everybody in that locker room is saying that they fouled too much, and that could be the truth. But also taking 45 threes, bruh, I want someone to mention that. Talk to me. Tell me why y'all took so many threes. Tell me why y'all took so many threes. It'd be different if you were hot. If you were hot from three, then you go for it. But if you ain't hot from three, don't do that. Solomon 8908 need a legit point guard. I agree with that wholeheartedly. We so do. We need, and it doesn't have to be a Kyrie. It doesn't have to be a Kimball Walker, but it needs to be, it needs to be Lonzo-esque as far as IQ, but it needs to have somebody with athleticism who's able to produce. I'm trying to think of somebody that I could equate that to. Can't really think of somebody. Not a Fred VanVleet, nothing like that. Just you need somebody who's able to control the pace, make the right play. That's what you really need. Can't keep using LeBron as point guard. You can't when he's hurt. When in the league, okay, when LeBron is healthy and playing point guard, every coach will tell you this. Every GM will tell you this. There is no better distributor of the basketball. Period. He is Magic-esque with his passing, okay? The issue is that when he's not healthy, and it's been an issue the last 2 seasons now, when he's not healthy, he's not able to do what gives him the ability to pass well. When he's able to drive and kick, but if he's not driving, he's just swinging it. And that doesn't do anything for the team to just swing it. When he drives and people collapse, he can make tremendous plays. Let's not forget, the man literally drove and threw the ball, a no-look pass behind his back to Danny Green in the corner for a 3. Like, this is the guy that we're dealing with. There's a few games ago, went through his legs to Dwight as Dwight was cutting to the basket. This is the kind of LeBron that we're used to when he's healthy. When he's not healthy and he can't drive, if LeBron's not in the paint, his passing is pretty much ineffective, okay? And so that's what we need to think about. That is, when he's not healthy, that's gonna make a difference. Dasani, trade Genie bus. We're not trading Genie. This ain't Genie's fault. Genie has done everything we need. Once again, we lost tonight. We're on a losing streak, and you're still top of your division. I love when your kids interrupt. It's so cute. Infamous Diva 7. You know, I wish I could. And y'all pray for me, man. These kids are hype right now over these gifts. Tres Tarmac, Alska, couldn't agree more. What about shutting LBJ down a while and then load manage? I'm against it, but LeBron painted himself into a corner. If I'm healthy, I'm going to play. Well, now we're going to have to lie, or we're just going to have to accept the fact that your health, you being hurt, is a bigger deal than what you put on. Because tonight can't happen. That can't. Listen, guys, we have a stretch. Let me just tell you guys. Let me tell you what's coming up, right? Because I know we're talking a lot about tonight's game, but I want to just show you what we have going up. Just so you know, after tonight we're 24-7, so we're still good. Okay, we're still fine as far as record goes. But this is what's coming up in January, and this is what makes me nervous. Okay, you have Houston on the road, Boston on the road, New York, Brooklyn on the road, Philadelphia on the road. This is a 5-game road trip at the end of January. Okay, that's a 5-game road trip. So in my mind, coming up now, you have Portland, Dallas, Phoenix, New Orleans, Detroit, New York, Dallas, Oklahoma City. This is a good stretch to limit LeBron, in my opinion. These are games that you can still win without him, and the benefit of winning with him resting is far greater than you winning the game with him still injured. Okay, so I'm hoping they do something like that, because when we hit January 18th, okay, just mark that on your calendar. That's Saturday night. We're against Houston. And Houston is beatable. Obviously, we saw that tonight. But we're going to be on the road. And then we're going to Boston. And you already know how they hate us and how much we hate them. And I'm being on the road. It's just going to be crazy, man. And then New York and Brooklyn is a back-to-back. Right? So you're on the road back-to-back. That means you literally get done in New York at the Garden. And then you get on a plane and you get on a bus, go straight over to Brooklyn, and you're playing now over in Brooklyn the next night. And so you're dealing with players now, right? Like the Knicks probably ain't got nobody, but they got some people who don't like the Lakers, named Julius Randle, who are daring people to come to the paint. Like, it's that kind of stuff you want to get LeBron ready for. But I hope they rest him. George Santiago, silver lining is Kuz got going. They should remember to put him downhill and he will be effective. Remember the curl screen. Okay, tonight they didn't use it often because the curl screen is most effective when LeBron is able to drive. But the curl screen for Kuzma would be perfection. It's worked great for KCP. where literally Anthony Davis just sits at the elbow with his back to the basket, holds the ball, and they tried it tonight, and LeBron ended up losing the ball, and AD ended up losing the ball. Like, the curl screen for Kuzma would be tremendous. So hopefully they'll be able to put that into the playbook, but we'll see. Also, Kuzik, what about load management for both AD and LBJ? AD needs to play every single game. We can't load manage them both. And I don't think anything's wrong with AD. AD did fine tonight. I think he just didn't turn his alpha on. I think he was still waiting for LeBron to get going, and I think part of that was LeBron saying he was gonna get it going, and he didn't. I think there was like a thing where LeBron was like, all right, guys, I'm gonna get going. It just felt like that. That's the only thing that would explain not going into Kuz and why everybody was force feeding LeBron, even for 3-pointers. Like really, somebody should be in that locker room going, you need to get your life together, because that's not it, right? Like, somebody needs to hold him accountable. And we don't know if they're going to do that, but that would be great. Also, because he got load managed the previous game and we lost. Yeah. Laguni Mansa, we are less and less scary in the paint. Only when LeBron does not drive. When LeBron drives, you don't understand. When he drives, it changes the dynamic of the entire offense, because it allows people like JaVale, Dwight, AD to roll to the rim, looking for lobs, looking for putbacks. It allows the shooters to space out more and be able to shoot uncontested 3-pointers. When LeBron drives, you have no other point guard who can drive to the paint like LeBron. You don't have anybody else who can do it. So if LeBron doesn't do it, it changes everything. Then you turn it to the New Orleans Pelicans, where you have AD on the block, and you know it's going to AD, and you have Rondo just trying to figure out a way to get it into him. That's a different offense than what's been successful for us. So if anything, I would load manage LBJ going, okay, I know our offense is great when he's healthy. So let's just try to figure out how we can have a backup plan while he load manages, and then we'll throw him in when we get closer to the playoffs so we can get it going, right? Tress Tarmac, Lakers have lost against all the big franchises, as we should, because we need a wake-up call. As we should. Here's the thing. Like, it would be easy to keep the winning streaks going, winning streak going, and then, like, you play all these big franchises and you win, and then your mindset is, oh, we beat them before, we can beat them again. No. I want us to get smacked early so that we can go into the playoffs playing our best basketball. We're going to see the Clippers again. Matter of fact, let me just take a look at that, because you're going to see them again. Okay? I can already hear Skip Bayless's mouth, like, in the morning. I just can't wait to hear it. We're going to see the Clippers again. I want to just put this down to where we know where the Clippers are, because we already lost to them twice. So right now, we're set to play the Clippers again. We have them in March. Okay? So we got them in March, and I think that is the next time we play them. Yeah. Next time we play them is March. No, I'm sorry. We play them again January 28th. January 28th and then March 8th. Okay? So we play them at home again on a Tuesday night now. Just a month from now. Just a month from now. Okay? That means, and that's a televised game on TNT. So that means that these next two games, I want us to be playing our best basketball at the end of January. When we come out of that long stretch that I talked about, Houston, Boston, New York, Brooklyn, Philadelphia, our first home game after that 5-game stretch is against the Clippers. I want us to be battle tested after that. I want us to know what it feels like. What happens when you get too confident? What happens when you get too cocky? What happens when you rely on streaks and you're telling people to beware? I'm glad that happened, so that now we can go into these games knowing that any team can beat you on any given night. And when they win, they talk more smack than we're going to be able to talk, right? So like the Clippers went to the playoffs last year. We didn't. You see what I'm saying? And they got better. So if we're going to see them again, now you've been smacked twice. Okay, now you got smacked on opening night. And then tonight you had a 15-point lead or a 12-point lead, 7-point lead in the fourth, and you lost it, which is the equivalent of getting smacked. You need it. You need it. You need it. And now, I'm fully confident they're going to come back and be much more prepared. I'm fully confident. We'll see what happens, but we can't win without both of them playing. That's true. Tress Ramek. Dasani, we getting beat by elite teams. They ain't winning against the Mavs. 5 in a row coming. That sounds crazy. Why wouldn't they win against the Mavs? Like, unless you're saying the Mavs are elite, which they're not. They're a great team, but they're not an elite team. They're far from an elite team. If anything, that's the game that I would be like, oh, that's a game we can get back on track. That's not a game where I'm scheduling a loss. Absolutely not. Blake St. Clair, Blazers are next. Yeah, Blazers, like that. That's a game. That's another winnable game, right? You can easily win the Blazers. You can easily win against the Mavs. Okay, it's just a matter if you want it. If you want it more, you're gonna win. You have more talent than what they have. Okay, but if you don't put your foot on the gas, it's not gonna work. Faceless God, not taking a timeout when Vogel had 2 left, dribbling around 15 seconds, and then last second going for a highly contested 3 to tie the game is all a recipe for disaster. It sure is. It sure is. There's no excuse for that, LeBron. None. Blake St. Clair, an impact injury in the first doesn't make you dribble that for half the clock, then take poor contested 3. Is much more sign of mental and physical. No, that's exactly what it makes you do. If your go-to move is driving and you don't have the ability to drive, the only thing you can do is dribble until you shoot a 3. That's it. Because even if he passes, he's not cutting. It's not going to happen. So, like, an impact injury for a LeBron, it does exactly that. An injury to his groin or anything, if it had been anything else, him being poked in the eye or any of that, it would have been fine. But like him getting hit in the groin is the exact reason why people fear it. Because when it happens, then he can't drive. And if he can't drive, I'm not using the word useless, but as a point guard, he's ineffective. He's ineffective. Look how many assists he had tonight, right? Well, I can't even go to it. But he was not the normal LeBron. So the impact injury makes a difference in the long run. To me, it looked like AD didn't have the energy to battle in the paint late in the game. I don't think he had the. Now AD is. I'll put the mental part, not fatigue. Not fatigue. I don't think he has the mental makeup for the fourth. That's what I think. That's my honest to God. Like he can perform in the fourth. I'm not saying that he's proven that this season. What he can't do is perform when it matters most. Okay, you got to remember. Like for us as Laker fans, we know what the weight is for this Clipper game. We know how big it is. It's more than just bragging rights, right? It's like it's the only other team that we share a building with that matters, and they're good, right? And we got spurned by LeBron and PG, right? 2 separate off seasons, and they're both in the same team now. Okay, when I heard this week that AD and LeBron were like, this is we're not treating it like any other game. It's like of course, of course it matters, but like, it's not going to be make or break. Like when I start hearing that conversation, I'm like, no, you don't have a killer in you. Like you need to embarrass the person that embarrassed you. If you don't have that locked into your mind, right? Like they always tell, like they're getting ready for that Jordan documentary. That Jordan documentary is going to be crazy. And one of the stories they talk about is that somebody, like Jordan was having an off night, and somebody came to him and was like, man, you having a rough night tonight? And he turned around and said, what did you say? And they said, man, I just said you had a rough night. You're having a rough night tonight. And they said he turned it on and scored like 25. Like, that's the mentality that you need to have. You need to see Pat Bev clapping in your face and then go, I got you. Let me shut down the paint real quick, little man. Come here. And then ask for the switch. Like, switch him on to me real quick. Switch him on to me. Now, early in the first half, Paul George was going to the paint. AD was blocking him. Like we had it in the first half. But when the pressure started going, and that lead was gone, and the Laker fans are getting nervous, and they ain't celebrating you the way they were in the first half, he crumbles, and I don't know why that is. To me, it looked like AD didn't have the energy to battle. Oh, that I'm sorry. Sky up. What would you think about Danny Green for Dennis Schroeder trade? KCP could replace DG in the starting lineup. They're never going to make that trade. It would be great for us, but they're not trading Dennis. It's never. That dude is playing too well right now for them to get rid of him. It's just not going to happen. If that were to happen, that would be the equivalent of like Kwame Brown, Pau Gasol territory. Because Schroeder would be exactly what they need as an offensive playmaker to help to alleviate. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? The pressure. But that ain't gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. I'm dreaming, but that's not gonna happen. I'll phrase it this way. Man-to-man defense on the perimeter was terrible. Late game turnovers when the game mattered was the problem, not the number of. Yes, Blake St. Clair, that's correct. It wasn't that it was the timing of everything. The man-on-man defense was bad, which traditionally it would have been good, and I guess in a sense it was. Let me not say that. And it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't up to standard, right? But them turnovers, Doc, oh my God. Yo, man, It was bad. Okay, but let's end on a high note, guys. Let's end on a high note, okay? Okay, let's shake it off. Let's shake it for a minute, okay? I'm gonna channel my inner Greg Bergman right now. We're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. Let me explain why. Okay? Let me explain why. Part of the reason why we're so mad, and we should be, is because we talk a lot of trash. Okay? Laker fans, we do. When the Clippers got blown out by the Bucks, we talked like nobody's business. When we lost against the Bucks, we were super mad. Okay? We've seen teams go on losing streaks. We talk crap. We are now in the middle of our first losing streak. Mind you, LeBron did say in the beginning, during preseason, he goes, we're going to have streaks that are great. We're going to have losing streaks. All that matters is that we're getting better with every game. Now, with that being said, you're still 24-7. The team that beat you tonight is still 3 games behind you at 23-10. Okay? So we're talking about that. Overall in the league, we're still doing great. Okay? I think what we have to do is we have to go, okay, we've lost 4 games in a row. Okay? And we're still sitting atop of our division. Still sitting the top. We're still sitting at the top of where we're at. So if we can do that, and we can sustain losing 4 games in a row, what does it look like for us to get better? Okay? So let's look at the positives now. Okay? So we positively know that Kuzma is capable in big moments. Okay? This is not against some scrub team. He went ham in the first half. We know that if he stays consistent, he can be the third option scorer that we've been looking for. Not a facilitator, not an assist man, not a rebound getter. He's actually played decent defense in these last couple of games. But we know that we can trust him to at least give us 15 off the bench. We know that. We also know that KCP, unlike when we were winning, right? KCP has found himself. Even tonight, he was able to put up double digits and was great. He was 2 or 3 or 3 or 4 from the 3-point line. Okay? So we know that we've seen the evolution of 2 great players in Kuzma and in KCP. We also know that we have a tremendous defender in Alex Caruso. Why he's not getting minutes, don't know, but we do know when he's in the game, he makes a difference. His defensive net rating is tremendous, especially when he's playing with AD and LeBron. Okay, so we know that we have people that can do it. We also know that we've seen Danny Green hit big shots and big threes when it matters. So we know that even though tonight he was not great at all, that when clutch situations happen, we know that we have those people that we can trust. We also know that we don't have to worry about egos. I'm settling our minds on things that were issues in the beginning. We know that Dwight is not going to be an ego problem. We know Dwight's going to give you energy. We know Dwight's going to give you everything he has. He's still going to be the goofy guy, but he has found himself in the middle of that. So these are all positive things. We also know that we don't have to worry about how the rotations are going to go between him and JaVale. We know JaVale is better to start, but we know Dwight is better after that in finishing. This is what we know. Okay, this is what we know. We know Anthony Davis is as good as advertised, even during the 4-game winning streak in one of his bad games. Okay, one of his bad games, this man had 24 points. These are things that we can say that other teams cannot say. If the Oklahoma City Thunder, if Schroeder don't go off, if Dennis don't go off, or Chris Paul don't go off, they're in trouble. For the Houston Rockets, if Westbrook ain't scoring 45 or Harden ain't scoring 45, they're in trouble. Okay, these are things that we need to be thinking about, because we want to put our wins and our losses in perspective. Okay, you lost against a good team tonight. We made some horrible decisions, but these are not decisions that you would make in a series, in a playoff series. Okay, this is also one of the bigger positives. You can go 500. You could win half of your games going forward, and you would still be eligible to make the playoffs based upon the way things are going right now. So we're working with house money right now. Okay. What you want to be looking at is, in the future games, when we get to Portland, how does the team come out? Between now and Portland, do we hear more about what could be possibly going on with LeBron? Or does he just let this game wake him up and he turns into the next evolution of himself and finds a better way to play? Also, there's still Iggy out there, which I know is highly improbable right now based upon how Memphis is talking, but it's still a possibility. These are things that I want us to know. People said the same thing about the Dodgers. Please don't mention the Dodgers in this chat, man. I do not want to see the pitchforks, and I don't want to see the torches. I just want to point out some of the things that we can put back into perspective. You still have one of the most dangerous duos in the league. Okay, tonight you were not torched by a duo. You were torched by Kawhi. Okay, Kawhi did playoff things tonight. Paul George was not a threat. Montrezl Harrell scored more points than Paul George tonight. Okay, so we didn't get beat by a two-headed monster. But when our two-headed monster is going full, we're unstoppable. Okay, we're unstoppable. We still have the greatest 1-2 punch in the league. Okay, our schedule looks crazy going forward, but this is the perfect time for us to start settling in. Okay. We also know, this is another good thing to know, we also know that there are still some possible moves that can happen. The people that you're not seeing on the court consistently, Quinn Cook and Troy Daniels, they're probably going to be people that will either get waived or traded if possible. Okay? So there's still some ability, depending on how buyouts go, to make this roster even better. Okay? So you got some things going. I'm not going to talk about things like THT, right? Like, obviously, he's going to become something at some point, but right now it doesn't matter. But let's just run with it, okay? Let's just run with it. Let's be easy. Let's trust the system and know that it's going to be all right, guys. I promise you, it's going to be all right. Arian DJ22, when you're on Twitter during the game, is it you or Greg? Is he not? I don't know. We have a whole different team for Twitter. That runs the Twitter thing. So we have like a stable of like 7 to 8 guys. It's just a matter of who's in the rotation at that time. So sometimes I'll do both post game and Twitter for the most part. But in any case, that's it for tonight, guys. We've gone long tonight, and it's a bad loss. Okay, we tried. But this is the reason why you don't allow yourself to lose against bad teams, because it gives you a cushion to go through bad streaks. Okay, to go through bad streaks. We're still sitting at the top of our conference, and we're still second place to the Bucks overall in the NBA. And so, you know, every team is beatable. The Bucks lost today. The Rockets lost. It's just, you know, like we want to just put it in perspective, guys. Things can happen against good teams. These are playoff teams we're talking about, and it can happen. We're going to lose more games. Let me just prepare you for that. And we're probably going to go on another losing streak at some point. It's just the way the NBA works. It's why you have 80-plus games, okay? So it's going to happen. But when it does, we can't lose our cool. We can definitely vent. That's why we want you on this post game. Come in here, let's talk about it. But once we're done talking about it, let's start looking forward to the positivity bombs going forward, man. So let's start sending the spirit bombs. I say this every post game. Start talking to the people. Send them in the DMs. Let them know, hey, man, that was a horrible game, but I know you're going to get better. Like try to pump them up now, man, because now we need them to get their minds right. We need them to get hungry. We need them to become dogs. We need them to become championship contenders in their mind and not just on paper, if that makes sense. Okay? Ski up, we'll be fine. No need to get stressed or depressed about regular season games. That's right. Listen, hats off to the Clippers. I know we hate saying that, but it wasn't like they did anything dirty to win the game, right? Patrick Beverley played actual defense tonight. Like, he wasn't flopping all over the court. Like, my man actually, like, that last play of the game was great defense. Bad offense on us, but great defense on him. So hats off to the Clippers. I would love to see him in a 7-game series. I would love to see him in a 7-game series. I would love it. I'm praying we get him first round. I hope they get the 8th seed, we get the first seed, and we see him first round. That's what I'm really hoping for. But in any case, that's it. So listen, guys, until the next game. The next game is against Portland. And I believe that game, if I'm not mistaken, if somebody can remind me, excuse me, I believe that game is going to be on the road, if I'm not mistaken, or it might be at home. And once we get done with Portland, we're starting off the new year with a pretty easy stretch, and that's what we want. Okay, Portland's actually on the road, and then we have Dallas and Phoenix and New Orleans and Detroit and New York all at home. This is great stuff for us to get healthy, to get rested, no travel, the whole nine. So after this Portland game, let's look to get the mojo back. Look to get the spirits up and going so that we can hit that road trip and we can knock it out. Okay? Until then, appreciate y'all. Once again, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Merry Kwanzaa, all of those things. And if I don't see you again between now and January 1st, Happy New Year. I'm out.